Welcome back, my friends, to TFT Hyperroll with Artark. By the time you are watching this, Set 9 has been revealed. Not yet released, but revealed. As soon as it gets to the PBE and I can play it, I will go live and we can kind of learn it a little bit together. So look out for the notification for that. This build happened during a live show and was by request. They wanted me to try this build, so I gave it a shot. And first graphic, like, comment, subscribe, do things to help the YouTube algorithm. All lives going forward on the weekends will be from the PBE Set 9, but again, I'll also do it as soon as it pops up. And now, with that said, let's get started. So I'm going to tell you right now, this first augment was nothing that I wanted, and I'm going to end up pretty much ignoring it by the end of the match, because it just didn't fit in with everything else I did. But I decided to start with Exiles so I would get an additional shield. The idea in this build was to go Gadgeteen Defender of some form, so that we can have a really, really tanky team, because as you know, Gadgeteen reduces damage taken for those champions based on how many items they have. And I was not able to start with a 2-star Lulu, and I'm against a 2-star Lulu, so I'm not thrilled with that. But generally, I can find Lulu, although in the last live stream I did, when I was trying to do Super Hearts, Lulu, for some reason, was incredibly evasive. But this one, yeah, she's able to finish us off. And I've gone ahead and locked for my 2-star Poppy, but still only a 1-star Lulu, and we are one Lulu away from having some decent power coming out of the backline. Poppy can only hold up for so long, and unfortunately with Defender, if you are facing AP, as I am in this case, it's not going to work out very well. So we found our little Lulu and our Annie, so we have Gadgeteen, and as you can see, at 3, it is a 4% reduction and increase in damage, and when you get to 5, that goes to 8%. So it can be a pretty significant decrease in damage taken and increase in damage going out, but it is a slow start build. Item-wise, this is a difficult choice. I ultimately decide to go with the needlessly large rod just because it has a lot of possibilities in terms of creating a Rage Blade or potential damage items later on. I'm also able to get Gnar, so he can go in instead of Annie, who just isn't strong enough at this point. Any dreams of Gnar improving the match at this point, well, they died pretty quickly because we have a very strong Vex with 2 Archangel Staff and a blue buff, and another 2-star Lulu hanging out back there who are strong enough to just power through us. It's time for the second augment, and when I'm offered Electrocharge 2, I just decide to go for it because I'm going to be running a Defender frontline, which I'm not even separating because I feel they're going to be better together, especially now with Electrocharge, and that will create those little zones of death that other champions can get stuck in. And what I am hoping for is that with the Electrocharge and Gnar's ult, we are going to be able to create real zones that will wipe out opposing teams, sort of like this. And as you will quickly see, Electrocharge is working quite nicely at creating those zones that is taking huge amounts of health off champions. Rel gets into the backline, does damage there, but soon she is joined by everyone who is able to wipe out the opposing team. And at the moment, I've brought in a 2-star Pike because there's a part of me thinking that if this all doesn't come together as I planned, I can still go Hacker Gnar, and that will work in this case because we can have Defenders and then a Hacker Gnar as well. Luckily, I was able to snatch a Nunu off the carousel, so now I was able to go up to the 5 Gadgeteen, so we're back to plan A, which is Defender Gadgeteen. I get offered Hero Augment of Temper Tantrum. I would rather have Synchronous Plating, and I jump on it so fast when it appears, I'm going to freeze it and then show you why I took it. Remember, we're running Defender. This one gives you a Gnar, and your strongest Gnar gains 45 armor and magic resist, plus another 5 until the end of combat every time he damages an enemy with his ult. So he is just going to get tankier and tankier. Remember, we have Electrocharge, so he is going to be knocking things off and causing damage to them when they hit him, along with him getting tankier. Plus, he is receiving damage reduction per item that he has. Our goal now is to get to the 4 defenders so we get that increased armor and then allow this team to just get tankier and tankier as we add items. Now, there are 2 priorities in this. Number 1 was to get as many items on Gnar as possible, so I now have him set with Titan's Resolve, Hand of Justice, Last Whisper, so he's able to cut through things and has a little bit of healing. Also, it's going to be getting that 2-star Nunu with 3 items at all times, so there's damage reduction, because Nunu can hold up and then finish off a team when you least expect it. And it is item choice time, and my goal is getting 3 items on each of my Gadgeteens, or at least the ones that are most likely to engage. I can use Gadgeteen items for Poppy, but Hextech Gunblade will work perfectly on Nunu, because that way he will be healing a little bit as he goes. We find our gold 3-star Gnar, and then we can pick up a Gargoyle Stoneplate, which is a great Poppy item. So we're going to be pretty much guaranteed to have 3 items on Poppy going forward with the Gadgeteen items. And this is one of the more deadly teams out there right now. It is Oxslingers, and they can do a ton of damage very quickly and can eat through you. I'll be doing a video on that either later this week or next week before the season ends. And as you can see, I've long ago abandoned the first augment that I got, except for a couple of exceptions where I separate Gnar and Nunu out, and mainly that's because I want the team to run into a solid wall and get hit like this so we can get through it and brought into the top 4. Now, there was a big discussion in chat at this point as to who the last champ should be. A lot of people felt it should be Echo. I pointed out I like using Rammus in this case because the way that stun hits and the way Defender impacts him will increase his armor a ton, making him super effective. It is time for our final 2 item choices, and we grabbed the Bramble Vest for Poppy because Poppy can pop things with enough armor. That also gives him the 3rd item, so he is now all set. We can spread the other items between Garen and Rammus. For the final item, we can go ahead and pick up the Static Shiv and give it to Lulu, because she's just going to hang out in the corner, and that will make everyone more susceptible to Nunu's giant balls. And I just want to go back to the Rammus versus Echo discussion. Part of the other reason that people felt Echo should come in was to give Prankster to Gnar. But as I've mentioned in the Animaniacs builds that I've done and videos I've done on it, I feel that the 2 Pranksters just isn't enough. It's not enough healing. So it's not until you get to the 3 Pranksters and you get that additional stun that it really matters. And Rammus just felt like it could have more impact in this case with the stun and the increased armor. We give Garen the damage item since, again, he scales off AD for his ult, and then we can go ahead and put the Shroud on Lulu and then try to use her to cover up Vex, who was in that corner when we planned it, but of course, they move Vex out of the way. However, we are now very, very, very strong. Lulu's attacks, while not devastating, are reducing the magic resist for the opposing team, which is allowing Nunu to do tons of additional damage, as you can see, as he runs over people and just levels them, finishing them off. And then the other player, well, they end up losing to the Ghost team, and it's GG for everyone. This is a fun build if you can get it to work. It's risky because it's a slow start, Hope you enjoyed this video and the rest of the season, and as always, have an absolutely awesome day.